Norris with the NSA.
We have identified some very, very interesting anomalous type of aircraft.
Traffic is quite luminous and is exhibiting some non-ballistic motion. Over.
Move very rapidly at any speed or whether any direction it wanted to go. Why it could change and go to the right or the left or go crossways without hesitating a bit.
What do you think it was?
Well, if they call it a flying saucer, that's what it is.
EWA 517, do you want to report a UFO? Over. Negative. We don't want to report.
Look, it wasn't my worst Wednesday night.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Anomaly Now, straight out of Austin, Texas. I am your host, Miles Lewis. This is the, well, nowadays it's going to be mostly weekly or sometimes weekly, very rarely live anymore. Happy New Year. Did you survive 2025? Oh my God. What a terrible, fractious year. I hope you and yours are managing and keeping your sanity. Well, this is Anomaly Now. We are affiliated with the 501c3 nonprofit community charity organization known as the Scientific Anomaly Institute, aka Anomaly Archives. We've been here in Austin since our launch in 2003. Over 2 decades of archiving, preserving anomalous materials, as well as performing public education, such as monthly lectures or maintaining the website or these kinds of news programs such as this, Anomaly Now. Well, it is January 21st, 2026. It is Wednesday. And have you seen a UFO today? Why Wednesdays? That's because of John Keel. Way back in the day, I think it was in UFO's Operation Trojan Horse and some of his other publications, he noted that after examining thousands of UFO sightings and reports, he had determined that the most common day for UFO sightings to occur was on a Wednesday, trending towards Thursday. You can search the archives for information about that, but let's dive right in. There's going to be a ton of information we want to cover. Of course, you can go to our website, anomalyarchives.org, and there we have all kinds of information about our organization, our collections, and our monthly Anomaly Academy lecture series that's available for patrons of our Patreon community. We launched this in June of 2024, and after about a year, every month's lecture is made public. And coming up at the end of this month, January 2026, we have Cosmic Witch Susan Demeter presenting Through a Magical Lens, Exploring the Paranormal by Means of Occult Practices. That's going to be a fantastically intriguing, information-laden presentation by our good friend Susan. And you can find out more about that over at our website. Of course, it'll all be in the show notes for tonight's episode. We do provide show notes for every episode of the Anomaly Now show, which started in 2020 and has run for every year since. Mostly weekly, but we have to take vacations and go on hiatus every once in a while. 2022 is the only year we didn't have any shows. And you can find all those archives again at the anomalyarchives.org website. We would love it if you would consider going to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/anomalyarchives and signing up. You can sign up for free and that'll get you access to some material. But if you join at the $10 or month tier or higher as an Anomaly Academy cadet, you get access to participate in our live monthly online lecture series. Again, this month's coming up lecture is with Susan Demeter, and past lectures have featured Erica Lukes and Jack Brewer and just so many others. It's too many to mention, but it's great. Actually, if you go to our website, we have a page now for our 2025 year-end review. I had started working on doing collecting my thoughts and notes for an end-of-year review episode of Anomaly Now. Last year, it took 3 episodes to go through all the news. So I don't know, it's a bit much, but we've provided links in our 2025 year-end review page that link to all the past shows, all the past news links, all the material that we've been distributing through Patreon and through our website over the past year. That includes making Jonathan Downs' 2010 lecture on the Texas Blue Dog Chupacabras available to the public. We also made public Gail Neeson's finale issue of Houston Sky 30 years after its print run ceased back in 1996. And of course, we've had presentations each month, including from our good friend Brad Abrahams, Close Encounters of the Humankind, exploring the cinema of the unseen. And we've released a lot of rare videos and audio from the Anomaly archives, including strange mashups that I made back in the day, back in the, I guess it would be the early 2000s. This one, in fact, being a mashup of Terrence McKenna, Quatermass in the Pit, aka 5 Million Years to Earth, as well as a rare audio of a Roswell movie miniseries promotional audio. It's hard to describe. That one isn't able to be made public. You're gonna have to join Patreon to view it because of copyright stuff. But we also made available rare video that I was featured in for a webisode from the Streets of Fear show from FearNet back in the day. This was about Austin's Convict Hill Road and its alleged hauntedness. It's not haunted, folks, but it's a fun little interesting thing. And like we mentioned, we've had Erica Lukes and Jack Brewer present, and Tui Snyder talking about travel tombstones and transformation. Other rare stuff that we've released includes rare audio of my and Robert Larson's conversation about infamous psychedelic psychonaut Terrence McKenna, talking about one of his many weird ideas, that is the time stream bifurcation theory, fractal soliton of improbability, aka Roman chariots on the moon. It's hard to explain. You go check it out, as well as rare audio and a weird video mashup that I did years ago of my lecture in 1995, Encounters with the Fantastic, the Transformative UFO Paradigm, which really still matches my ideas about this even after all this time. We also released rare video of Whitley Strieber appearing in November of 2000, 26 years ago, at the Texas Book Festival at the Texas Capitol. This was amidst the fracas that was going on post-election between Bush and Gore. Very interesting bit of rare video there, and just on and on and on. So many great presentations from Adam Go-Rightly, Michael Hughes, Micah Hanks, Aaron Gulius, and Chris Rutkowski. And of course, Chris Rutkowski's presentation, Abduction Transduction, was presented almost a year ago and will be made public later this month. So stick around to check that out. Anyway, moving right along, let's just jump right into some of the news that we have for you. We love to highlight free materials that are available from other amazing organizations like the SSE, Society for Scientific Exploration. Over at their website, scientificexploration.org, is the January 2026 edition of their Explorer newsletter. This is a free downloadable publication that always has interesting material in it, so you can go check that out over there. That's over at scientificexploration.org. And I wanted to bring people's attention to this article from actually late last year, August of 2025. I only just became aware of this. It was published over at technologyreview.com, but unfortunately it's behind a paywall. And the author, Matthew Fellon, has made it available on one of these archive websites. And it's called How These Two Brothers Became Go-To Experts on America's Mystery Drone Invasion. Two Long Island UFO hunters, have been called upon by some domestic law enforcement to investigate unexplained phenomena. And so this is a great article. I was really glad to be made aware of this and to make Matthew's acquaintance. This article is really a good example of the best kind of investigative journalism. It's focusing on the drone, the mystery drone flap issue, but from the perspective of these UFO researchers who you've probably seen interviewed by Ross Coulthart on News Nation and other podcasts and news outlets. But I highly recommend you click the archive link and read this article. I think it's really worth your time. I learned stuff that I had not been aware of, and no spoilers here. I just encourage you to go check this out. And I think it's very, very interesting. And I really have to compliment Matthew Fellon on his work here and encourage others to go read this very lengthy, in-depth article that's very, very informative about the overlap between the UFO community and those investigating the very real mystery drone phenomenon. And we live in a world and a time where the issue of drones can't be the importance, the dangers, the risks associated with this new drone technology cannot be overstated enough. At the same time that I feel like documentaries like Age of Disclosure are actually kind of like crypto wedge issues that are actually more about that angle, the dangers of quote unquote UFOs, UAP, and drones. Anyway, it's a complicated issue, but I highly recommend this article. I think you should go check it out. Even though it's from last year, it's still very much worth your time. All right. Similarly, I really would encourage you to go to Society for UAP Studies.org. That is the SUAPS website, where Greg Bishop, our good friend and now international correspondent of mystery, has done a very long, comprehensive review documenting the SUAPS, Society for UAP Studies, recent conference over there in Germany. Of course, he recently also reported on the Soul Foundation's recent conference over in Italy. Both of these high-level academic, scientific-oriented organizations chose, doing these international conferences overseas in the midst of the times that we're in. That is also very interesting. But really, I think they both were doing it to encourage and to showcase the international nature of the phenomenon and the international nature of humanity looking into these important phenomena. And yeah, this appears to be about a 15 to 18-minute read. It just goes on and on and on. It's a day-by-day chronicling of the conference. Just one random paragraph from the beginning. And the social sciences track, part of the discussion centered around how a government UFO disclosure would be handled. Communications director David Metcalf reminded the group that, quote, "You have to know what the motivation behind it would be," and recalled a finding from a religious studies scholar, Dr. Diana Pasulka, that there are documented histories which show media was used to create a public, quote unquote, memory that was not necessarily the truth. Member Louise Peterson said that the phenomenon affects witnesses on an individual level and that, quote, "we need to have people, researchers, who are more objective," unquote. No kidding. And yeah, just a day-by-day analysis of the proceedings and the different presenters. This is great. And no, I have not had the chance to read it. Sorry, Greg. But no, this is great. So looks like I'm not sure what day this was, but on one of the days, He starts a paragraph by saying, Alien Abductions, the Big Picture was delivered as the first keynote speech by Professor Ron Westrom, a bona fide veteran of classic ufology. In 1966, Westrom was a student at Northwestern University in Chicago, taking a class in astronomy by Dr. Carl Sagan, who suggested he read a book entitled Challenge to Science by Dr. Jacques Vallée and Alan Hynek, who were associated with the university at the time. The book changed the course of Westrom's life and set him on a path of UFO research. Yep. And, this also just highlights yet again, there's a lot in tonight's news links, many of which we won't get to, that, again, Vallée is still really these last 3 years. I think this is really the age of Vallée. And I know that's also a time when he has been criticized more than ever because of his endorsement of cases that have significant issues with them. He's not backing down on that case, in particular the Trinity San Antonio, New Mexico case. But anyway, lots more to read here over at the SUAP's website. That's societyforuapstudies.org, with Greg Bishop's article reviewing the massive conference that happened there. The Society for UAP Studies reframes the UFO debate. All right, moving right along. Other big news. James Fox has just yesterday pulled off a major press conference on January 20th, 2026, UAP UFO press conference at the National Press Club. Award-winning investigative filmmaker James Fox, The Phenomenon, Moment of Contact, and the program hosted a landmark UAP press conference at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., bringing together firsthand witnesses, medical experts, government officials, and U.S. insiders to present new evidence related to alleged non-human encounters and crash retrieval programs. This is mainly focusing on the Virginia case, and while I am not that familiar with it, I definitely am intrigued by the effort that's been put behind this. There are multiple copies of the press conference that you can watch online. Ross Coulthard has his version. This one over at Podcast UFO Live Shows, that's Martin Willis's channel, has a slightly different perspective from up close. It looks like it's from the first row. And I believe that's Karen Austin up there introducing various speakers. This is really, I'm very much looking forward to this. No, I have not watched this. Yes, it's a 3-hour presentation, and I've just been very, very busy here in the new year, which is why I haven't been able to do the weekly shows. But very excited about these events. Oh, and so this is leads right into it. So they also played at this conference something that is now freely available on multiple channels, and that is this video of Jacques Vallée.
My name is Jacques Vallée. I'm speaking at the request of Mr. James Fox, because a few years ago I initiated the system of multiple databases used by a DIA-sponsored program at Bigelow Aerospace as a cleared member of a scientific team charged with study of UFO, UAP phenomena.
And I'll say this is only a 6-minute clip, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. You just got to go watch it. It's very succinct, and it purports he's giving his perspective now on what he thinks is going on with the UFO phenomena, which I must say I'm a little shocked and surprised by. I'm not sure if he chose these words to just kind of simplify his ideas, because I think his ideas are much more complex than what he expresses here, but it is very interesting. Nonetheless, he basically says that this is an extraterrestrial phenomenon that is utilizing advanced artificial intelligence for its manifestations. Now, he is no stranger to the world of astrophysics, physics, and particularly artificial intelligence and internet technology. So I I do think that's perhaps incredibly significant. It also just strikes me that this is kind of the parlance of our times, and that maybe he again just chose those words and descriptors because of the relevance at this point in our history. I don't know. But yeah, you'll have to go check that out for yourself. There's so much more UFO news. There's just a ton of links. You can, of course, go to anomalyarchives.org, go to our Flipboard. As I was showing, we've got just a ton of news over there. It just goes on and on and on and on. And, I would encourage you to explore all that material over there. And there's just a ton of great stuff. And I'm gonna try to touch on some. Oh, I guess I did not get to this. I didn't open the links to this, but okay, this is before I go away from the UFO angle. We have the Independent reporting Bank of England must plan for a financial crisis triggered by aliens, says former policy expert. This other article, normalisland.co.uk, Bank of England making emergency plans for aliens in move that makes satirists redundant. And where is this other? There's this other one. Yes, warning issued. I can't. This is wild, folks. Newsweek saying warning issued that alien revelations could spark financial crisis. This one over at newsweek.com. A financial crisis could be triggered by an announcement that aliens exist, according to Helen McCaw, a former policy expert of the Bank of England. McCaw told the Times of London that politicians and bankers can't afford to dismiss alien life, and wrote to the governor of the Bank of England urging him to organize a contingency plan in case the White House confirms alien existence. Wow, we are in such strange territory, my friends. Okay, enough of that. Yes. Now shifting gears. So as folks who followed me and the Anomaly Archives likely know, I think it was back in 2016, many years ago, several years ago, I experienced what is often referred to as the mystery hum phenomena. I was perceiving a very annoying, low frequency droning sound, and I've presented a lecture on that. I've spoken to our local group about that, and I've talked about it openly, and you can find all that material at the Anomaly Archives website. But it's a complicated issue, and it's one that I keep coming back to because it was so disturbing to me, and it's often so disturbing to other people, these mystery sounds that people experience and are troubled by. And so anytime I see news about this, I find myself very intrigued, and it kind of potentially links in with another weird thing that's been in the news lately that I want to talk about. But over at coasttocoastam.com, Tim Banal writes, video mystery blasts concern Pennsylvania community. Residents of a Pennsylvania community are understandably concerned about a series of recurring mystery blasts that have rocked their homes over the last few years. According to a local media report, multiple people in Bensalem Township have witnessed the inexplicable booms accompanied by a flash of light in the night sky. The puzzling phenomenon is so frequent that it has actually been captured on video several times since at least the spring of 2024. And what this reminded me of, and I don't think I don't know how familiar folks are with nextdoor.com. It's often described as like the Facebook for your neighborhood. Several friends of mine have joked that, oh yeah, Nextdoor, where people go on to complain about everything, especially their neighbors, and especially the most recurring quandary of fireworks or gunshots. But the thing that I also keep seeing around the country, and especially on Nextdoor here in Austin, particularly in South Austin, is people asking, does anybody know what these strange booming sounds I'm hearing at night are? And in fact, here in South Austin, there were a number of cases of these mystery booms occurring, but they very much were explosives. These people witnessed and saw some kind of improvised explosive device, and this may or may not have any relevance to this case, but if you watch this particular embedded YouTube video, Mysterious Loud Boom and Flashes of Light, about Ben Salem residents, it seems pretty likely that they've got a similar situation, some kind of bomber, some kind of person testing pipe bombs or improvised explosive devices, IEDs. But yeah, sure enough, here in Austin, after some waves of this, now let me just back up. Some people have identified some of the booms in South Austin, and I think these are also very common in downtown Austin and other places, when the sounds happen at a certain time on certain days in a cycle that's clearly predictable, and that makes it seem the more recognizable and identifiable. And some of these often are those big giant steel dumpsters being shaken and banged by the dump trucks, the trash trucks that come and empty them. And they, because they're big metal boxes, they ring like bells or have a certain tone that is very disturbing. And if you're if this is happening at 3 or 5 or 6 in the morning or whatever, it could wake people up. And anyway, so some of that is going on, and it's just, again, prosaic, mundane things. But sure enough, mid to late December of last year here in Austin, APD, Austin Police Department, arrests suspect in connection to multiple explosive incidents. This was posted to the austintexas.gov website December 18th, 2025. And basically, in coordination with local and federal partners, APD concluded a months-long investigation into a series of explosive incidents that occurred in Central and South Austin. And yes, they found the perp. And apparently he had quite a history of these kinds of problems and other similar run-ins with the law. It's not clear whether this person was planning something or if this was just this person's mischievous actions, but certainly this could have killed or maimed people, children, who knows. Some of these explosions, I believe, occurred fairly close to bystanders who witnessed them firsthand. So pretty disturbing. But on a different note, we've got this other post from Tim Banal over at coasttocoastam.com. Video: Connecticut City seeks to silence maddening mystery noise. Mystery noise that has annoyed residents of a Connecticut city for years may soon meet its match, as local officials have signed off on a study to locate the source of the maddening sound and hopefully silence it for good. This has been going on for years, I think. Yeah, I'm going to try to play this here for you.
Now from West Haven, where residents have been complaining for years about this mysterious humming noise, and they brought those concerns to a city council meeting last night, and council members voted to do something about it. News 8's Ken Pierce has the latest.
Imagine someone running a shop vac outside your bedroom window all night long, and imagine trying to sleep through that.
West Haven residents tell the city council Monday night their experiences with a mysterious hum. Folks just south of the train tracks near the orange line say it just keeps getting worse.
I've been hearing this noise for over 4 years or whatever, and I just thought it was me going a little cuckoo. But it's gotten to the point where it just gets in your chest.
Disruption with our sleep, increased stress, difficulty concentrating.
Kimberly Noons put together an online petition after experiencing her own problems with the noise.
Definitely my mental health, my sleep. I'm not able to sleep with this humming sound all the time.
The city has been working to pinpoint the source. They think they have, but need definitive proof.
There's a lot of assumptions where it's coming from. We have our assumptions as well, but we need to confirm in black and white with an expert, a certified expert.
Motion passes. Thank you all. Commissioner,
That's why the council voted to spend $16,000 for an acoustic study. That requires microphones set up for 10 days in a row. It's best to do while the leaves are still off the trees and before birds and crickets start making noise. The test is also weather dependent.
Rain is not helpful because that makes too much noise. If there's no rain in the forecast and the wind is expected to be below 10 miles an hour and we could find a week in there that works, we'll set it up and go.
30 days after that, they should have the report and an answer to the mystery. Kent Pierce, News 8.
Right. So that was over at WTNH News 8, their YouTube channel. And yeah, so that seems, yeah, that's probably got a very identifiable source. But it's very typical. I mean, with my experience, I honestly think I was experiencing some internal physiological issue that was resulting in what you could describe as low frequency, bassy tinnitus, instead of the traditional high piercing one, which I hear all the time. I hear it right now. But the low frequency is much more disturbing to most people. But yeah, so I wanted to also play this video from it's a month or two ago, I think. Let's see if I can get this here. That's on very similar. It's probably some industrial sound like what they're experiencing.
For weeks now, some strange sounds have been echoing through several local neighborhoods. People are losing sleep, and neighbors can't quite pinpoint the source. Local 12's Marla Porter is live tonight in Northside with what they are hearing and the frustration this is causing. Hey, Marella.
Hi, Kyle. Yeah, Sean Harold is the person who reached out to us. He actually lives in Clifton, and he really just wants to get some answers. Now, he spent last night logging how many times he heard this mysterious noise going on and off through the night. He counted about a dozen times, and all he wants to know is when this is going to stop.
When you stop and really listen, the city makes a lot of noise. Speaking of sounds, but what people are hearing in Northside, Clifton, and Camp Washington is unusual.
With a lot of that city noise, a lot of it becomes pretty regular and you get pretty used to it. So when something like this that's pretty foreign, it kind of stands out to you.
This sound is keeping people up at night. Brendan Markham says last night was the loudest it's been in Northside.
It almost didn't stop for a couple hours.
The duration varies from a few seconds to several minutes, and it's difficult to describe.
We were hearing this like siren-like quality noise, whirring, oscillating up and down.
The Herald started hearing the sounds 2 weeks ago in Clifton.
My son came up to me and said, "Dad, the tornado sirens are going off."
And it's been happening every night since.
Usually it starts at about 10 p.m. It can go till 3 a.m., 4 a.m., but it's quite unpredictable.
And it kind of stresses me out because I don't know what it is, and it's kind of scary.
It's got a lot of people talking on Facebook, speculating about the source. Storm sirens, construction, drones, this recycling plant, or the rail yard. Markham thinks whatever it is industrial.
It's such a high pitch, noise pollution wise, whatever it is, machinery wise, needs a lot of torque. The loudest thing in this whole area is the rail yard.
Some think it's a public safety issue. Sean Harold just wants to know when it'll stop.
We just hope to get to the bottom of it, figure out what it is, and if it's, a temporary thing or not, and hopefully the community can, rally if it's not temporary, because it's really impacting us.
Now, I also spoke to one person on the phone, and he says people who work in the rail yard believe the source of that noise is a failing turbocharger on a train's diesel engine. Now, we've only been out here a few minutes tonight in Northside. We have not heard the noise, but neighbors who have been reporting it to 311, the city's non-emergency line, including Sean Harold. 311 told him to contact the the Environmental Protection Agency. For now, live in Northside, Morella Porter, Local 12 News.
Morella, thank you so much. A spokesperson for the city manager says that he is, quote, asking around to see what this noise could possibly be. We also reached out to council member Mark Jeffries, who lives in Clifton. He said that he hadn't heard the noise himself, but he sent an email directly to the city manager to see what can be done about it.
And there's been follow-up like this other one from Local 12 News. From Yetis to rail yards, possible lead emerges for strange noise in Cincinnati, which now, there was nothing new in this other thing, and it's a really stupid news report. Not going to play it. I'm sorry that was a little long, but that was to me an example of decent local reporting on this. But it sounds like they already have the answer to their question right there. Some kind of it does seem like a diesel engine problem, and just nobody wants to fess up or take the blame for it. But this other video from a month or so later, or maybe a couple weeks later, they just have fun with it in a way that's just like, oh, are you just being actually this was from 3 weeks ago, right after Christmas, or they're right on Christmas, where they use AI to visualize some of the public's comments that have come in, and it's just like it might as well have been a Halloween silly season kind of news case. But some recent follow-up over at Cincinnati.com. City questions CSX about loud multi-neighborhood mechanical sound, and the article says CSX Transportation repaired its train equipment around the same time the city of Cincinnati asked the company if it was responsible for a loud mechanical whirring noise. According to officials, Northside, Clifton, and Camp Washington residents have been taking to Facebook in recent weeks to complain about a sporadic siren-like sound that's disrupted sleep and concerned neighbors. Yeah, again, it's so often, I think, in these cases there is some mechanical explanation, but meanwhile, there's this the Havana syndrome is back in the news. You may have heard about the suggestion that the White House was acknowledging unofficially that they may have used some kind of psychotronic sonic weapon as part of their assault on the Venezuelan president's compound in the abduction of that country's leader. And it's yet to be confirmed whether that was a real report. I think it was an alleged interview with a military person in the Venezuelan army, or in the protecting guard for the president there. But nonetheless, this has sparked a lot of discussion about this, and I'm going to post the links to a bunch of interesting articles. One from CNN.com. Pentagon bought device through undercover operations some investigators suspect is linked to Havana syndrome. An unrelated but still oddly timed article from Futurism.com. Home Depot deploys Havana-style sonic weapon against day laborers. Now, this reminds me of so there are these, LRAD, these different microwave and acoustic devices that are used for crowd control. This has been part of non-lethal weapons research for decades, and has generated all kinds of speculation about these kinds of devices over the years. And I remember years ago, certain high frequency sonic devices were being used at stores to drive away teenagers and young kids that were congregating outside because of their age, their hearing range was typically, they could hear higher pitched things than their older customers. And so it was literally targeting the kids. And this reminds me of something that occurred to me as a child, which is a little embarrassing and could prompt all kinds of jokes. But I was at a local famous Tex-Mex restaurant with my mother, and I was hearing some high frequency, high pitched sound that was really like practically causing a migraine. And we asked them, if they had any idea what it was. Nobody could hear it. They weren't really sure. But then they finally were like, well, we do have this sonic pest control device that does high frequency to drive away insects and pests like cockroaches. And I'm thinking, great. So I'm a child and I'm a cockroach. And I believe they turned the device off when we were there, and I got some relief. But that kind of goes to what I was saying about these stores using these kinds of things for young people. Now, I don't know how that would differ from something designed to work against day laborers, who I would think would be adults and or middle-aged. But meanwhile, back to the other thing. U.S. officials claim they have been testing a mysterious device linked to Havana syndrome. That's from the debrief.org. Another one from the debrief. Did the U.S. use a quote-unquote secret sonic weapon in the Maduro raid? What we know and what science says. Micah Hanks on his weekly program for January 12th of this year. Oops, that says 2025. That's supposed to be for 2026. I'll have to tell Micah, fix that error. Secret arsenal, sonic weapons, covert aircraft, and black budget mysteries. It goes into a lot of other stuff beyond just these claims of the sonic weapon. But again, here, CNN, Havana syndrome, Pentagon testing mysterious device, bought in undercover operation. And sure enough, there's this 9.5 minute segment from CNN about this very.
Well, we're learning that the Pentagon is testing a device that could be behind mysterious ailments that hit American spies, diplomats, and troops. The illness first emerged nearly 10 years ago. That's when US diplomats in Havana, Cuba, reported vertigo, severe headaches, and other signs of trauma. Later cases of so-called Havana syndrome were reported worldwide. Sources say the device was purchased for millions of dollars in an undercover operation in the last days of the Biden administration.
Yeah. Now, contrast this with the work of people like Robert Bartholomew, who put out a book a couple of years ago called Havana Syndrome, Mass Psychogenic Illness and the Real Story Behind the Embassy Mystery and Hysteria, which is, as far as I can tell, incredibly dismissive. But as several people have said, if these reports that our government is admitting that they have this device or bought one, that goes a long way to the need for an apology to all the people that they have denied services to and who have been ridiculed for making the claims of being victims of this technology, if that is in fact what they are. Over at goodreads.com, the synopsis of this Havana Syndrome book by Robert Ballo and Robert Bartholomew. It is one of the most extraordinary cases in the history of the mating calls of insects were mistaken for a sonic weapon that led to a major diplomatic row. Since August of 2017, the world media has been absorbed in the quote-unquote attack on diplomats from the American and Canadian embassies in Cuba, while physicians treating victims have described it as a novel and perplexing condition that involves an array of complaints, including brain damage. The authors present compelling evidence that mass psychogenic illness was the cause of Havana syndrome. Now, also consider that in the UFO field, you've got luminaries like Gary Nolan, who and I think Kit Green also, who've done research on people who have apparently been affected by some kind of technology, but it's being couched in terms of their proximity to quote unquote UFOs and UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena, aerial phenomena, UFOs, and that it has got the same symptomology and brain damage component as that of quote unquote Havana syndrome victims. So what is going on here? Is this a disinformation campaign? Is this a misinformation campaign? Are these totally different, unrelated issues? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, let's see. I need to wind down here, but yeah, we've got so many other news links in the paranormal parapsychology realm that we've got these great links. Unfortunately, there's an obituary for parapsychologist Stephen Browd. He's passed away. There's an interesting podcast out there on the subject of telephone calls from the dead that features a conversation with parapsychologist Dr. Callum Cooper, and other interesting articles like Electronic Contact with the Dead, What Do the Voices Tell Us, and the curious phenomena of spirit blush writing. Also an article on paranormal group dynamics. And this one, How Much Do I Remember? How Much Do I Still Use? By our good friend Paul Smith over at his blog at rviewer.com, and where somebody's question about his education that he received at the National Intelligence University, NIU, formerly I think called the Defense Intelligence College, back in 1993 when he was there. And this touches on ultimately his experience in the military remote viewing program. So very enjoyable read and interesting reflection by our good friend Paul Smith, and you might want to check that out. There's still a bunch of other stuff, including some cryptozoology news, tons of links that we'll be posting, but we do want to make sure that you check out Tim Banal's interview with Lauren Coleman for his Banal of America show number 106 that is focused on the case of the Dover Demon. And if you don't know anything about that, I highly recommend you check it out. It's an amazing interview between Tim and Lauren, who have a wonderful friendship, and they explore Lauren's intimate connection to the original investigation of this strange cryptozoological critter. Highly recommend that. All kinds of interesting other cryptozoology articles and videos and podcasts that you should check out, including one that's a premium episode from the QAnon Anonymous podcast, Werewolves of the Bayou, featuring Jacques LaRouche. Highly recommend that interview. So many other great articles and links there to various blogs that you should definitely check out. The Daily Grail also has a wonderful interview with Lauren Coleman, From Bigfoot to Lake Monsters. Lauren Coleman discusses the current state of cryptozoology, which results in him talking about the best evidence of Bigfoot, which is 98% sure the Patterson-Gimlin film is real, which is obviously some people say that is the best evidence and is really still yet to be disproven, despite all the claims that it's a guy in a monkey costume. There's this interview with Lauren Coleman over at theothermain.com. Interview Lauren Coleman, the hopeful cryptozoologist, and so much else out there that I highly would recommend you check out. Again, you can just go to anomalyarchives.org, find the show notes for tonight's episode. That is the January 21st, 2026 episode. Again, Happy New Year. I hope you've survived the holidays and that you are moving into a new day, and that this year will be better than the last for all of us and the world. May peace and prosperity guide us through these troubling times. Thank you, and good night.